There we go. All right, everybody, welcome to this training call. How to treat your business as a business, and so we've got some great stuff we want to go through with you on this call today. One of the most important things is really just a mindset and how to treat this as a business. There's nobody better to do that than Mr. Dan Doyle here. So welcome to the call, Dan.
And welcome to the call, Bart Kotter.
Melissa extends her apology. She had a couple things to take care of, so it's you and I this morning. But just amazing as I was thinking about this call this morning, treating your business like a business, and the difference of what it takes. It's so easy to treat this kind of business like a hobby. So many people, because we don't have a time card that we're punching into, we're not accountable to anybody. We're not getting a paycheck from somebody else. So it's all stems to our own personal responsibility to treat this like a business and not like a hobby. And, with that in mind, I just want to check the participants one more time, because there's kind of some pretty cool things that have happened just yesterday. Dan, you told me of another one. Let me just see if that is David. I believe that we have got an incredible rank advancement. David, is that be David right there? Just says
there is a David.
So I'm not sure. Let me just hit promote to panelist and see if that is David. David, is that you? It may not be, but he just...
Actually, we're trying to get him on board if we don't know if that's him or not. But there is another David before we announce the big one. Dr. David Yap here in Sydney just achieved the rank of Platinum Executive, which is a huge advancement from where he was, and fully engaged in getting this to as many people as possible, including the people that he works with on a daily basis, which is fantastic.
Yep. And the big one, and hey, David, if you're there, send me a text message and let me know that I can promote you if you're on the call. But as I understand it, he just went double diamond yesterday. Is that right? I think
that's what I hear. That's what I hear, Bart. Yep, that's exactly what I'm hearing on the grapevine. So congratulations, David. Another big rank advancement to the double diamond.
That's a huge rank. And I was thinking about it because these guys, between he and Richard Lee, with the Asian group that they've been doing a webinar every single night. Richard Lee is just talk about work ethic, treating this like a business. I look at how you treat this like a business. Mal Sword. And even, the other leaders too, as we look at the upline, Trish Schwankler, Chuck and Tammy Gates, Ed Weens, right from the very beginning, they grabbed the bull by the horns. They took responsibility for their business. They treated it like a business. They treated it with vision, and, they really tracked their numbers. So this is really important stuff that we want to talk about. And all it really is a mindset, and it's also taking responsibility for your business. Now, Dan, you've got quite a bit of experience with business. You've had businesses with lots of employees, so this kind of comes a little bit more natural to you. But you absolutely watch your back office. You track things. You set goals. You've got a planner. You take. There's no doubt you treat this like a business, and you have from the beginning when you made the decision.
Yeah. I mean, I look at Richard Lee and David who you're just speaking about too, and they were quite shy when they first started. And the guys on this call may not realize this, but I've got this inherent shyness as well. As far as recognition, I like to sit in the background and just build this business. But I've realized, and these guys have realized, and we will need everybody to realize too, that they need to come out of their comfort zone. The more you come out of your comfort zone, the quicker your business is going to build. So, I mean, that could be anything from picking up the phone or doing these webinars, getting on stage. I mean, it's not necessarily to do all of these things to build a massive organization, but the more you do come out of your comfort zone, the better. When it comes to building business, I build this like a traditional business. So I don't consider the people that I'm working with to be that voluntary army that everybody used to think of in the past with this type of business model. I let them know what it takes to do it, what it's going to take. I let them know the daily actions, the successful actions that they need to be doing to get to where they need to go. And everything that we're going to go through today is literally part of that. And we're going to go through this organizational coaching report, which is the heart and soul of your business. And if you're not keeping an eye on these figures, you may not be too good at figures, but you need to be setting your goals and targets. If you're not doing that, like you'd be doing, or have a plan for your traditional business is not going to go anywhere, no matter what business model it is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, it's something interesting. You said that you have a natural shyness to being up in front. I don't think anybody would realize that, but I recently had an opportunity to spend some real quality time with Eric Worre. And if you don't know who Eric Worre, he is the top trainer globally in this industry, in this profession. In fact, that's an interesting point. We actually had a fine jar. I did the Beyond Leadership event, which was, a very small, intimate group, about 30 of us, for about four and a half days. And as we were talking about the industry, he said, you know what, we're going to change that. He says, it's our profession. And so we had a little fine jar. Anybody that talked about the industry, we changed it to our profession. And so I like that a whole lot.
I love that. I like that.
Yeah.
That's great. Our profession. Yeah. Because it's a professional business. And, we know now that we can actually help a lot more people, work with a lot more people. We've got, a team that we can be working with, and we can make a lot more money than a lot of people out there in traditional jobs and business.
Yeah. And just the content was fantastic. It was, it was not a cheap training. We got some very valuable content, and some of that content we're going to be sharing with you today too. Key performance indicators, treating your business really, really like a business. And so it's, so we've modified the organization coaching report to go over this. And so what I'm going to do is, Dan, can you
While you're getting that up, Bart? Yeah, we're getting that up. Just it hasn't come up yet. Obviously, what you're talking about with going to Eric Worre, then this is people coming out of their comfort zone and, spending time and money on personal development, which is very, very important. I went to the Eric Worre event in Vegas last year in November, and I'm thinking, doing very, very well with Asea, and going into a room full of 10,000 people, being one of the highest achievers in there with my chest puffed out, but walking out is a very humbling experience, because I learned so much from going to an event like that. So, we've been to these events now. I'll continue to go to them myself for personal development. But as Mal says too, leaders are readers. So if you need to read yourself out of a situation and keep learning, guys, keep reading books as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, the people, he gets some amazing talents at his events too. Tony Robbins and Richard Branson and Robert Kiyosaki. So he definitely networks with the best of the best. Like one of the key things is that where you'll be 5 years from now depends on the books you read, the things you listen to, and the people that you associate with. So so you definitely want to associate with people who are going places, people who really, who are successful, and people who want more out of life. So let's see, can you see my desktop now, Dan?
Everything's up. Yep.
Okay, beautiful. What we're going to do, because we're going to go back and forth a little bit. And by the way, before we really get stuck into this report, I just wanted to send out a special thank you, an acknowledgement to Suzanne Grist, who actually did some incredible work to put this together and make a form that's incredibly user-friendly for all of you to use. And so, so what we're going to do is we're just going to walk through this a little bit and take a look at exactly how to fill this out. I'm going to also, Dan said, it's no problem. We can go ahead and look at this very impressive back office. Look at that, Dan. You're 3/4 of the way to presidential.
It's getting there. Working on it.
Yeah. So
yeah,
we're going to use Dan's back office as a little bit of an example. And you know what? It might seem a little, well, it's a very impressive back office, but look, we want to give you a picture of starting with the end in mind. So even if you're starting from day one, the thing I love about network marketing is that everybody starts in exactly the same place. They say all the people at the top are the ones that make the money, but when you sign that application or when you enroll for the first time, you are at the top. You're at the top of whatever you create. And that's exactly where you started to, right, Dan?
No, absolutely, yeah. So a
Exactly
lot of
where-
people have the perception of the structure and the way this business model looks, but I can tell you, we always go back to a corporate situation or someone who's got a job. You can't get the CEO's job unless he dies and you've got the experience, but you can bypass anybody when it comes to this type of business. And it all comes down to somebody's personal efforts and the time that they put in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely have some kind of a list of some notes here that we're going to go through, but let's take a look at this, because one of the things that Eric Roy talked about was key performance indicators. We're going to walk through this. So if anything that's tracked and anything that's measured in your business, you're going to see improvement. But look, I'm guilty of this. Probably, I'm extremely guilty of this, and that's just kind of haphazardly sometimes work in my business. But when I take control, when I look at my statistics in my business, when I set an intention, when I use my planner and make my goals and plans for the day, everything falls into place so much better. So it's so important to start with the end in mind, right from the very beginning. Set the goal and even if you thought, for example, what am I doing? If you set the goal, what is the end in mind? Is the end in mind to be triple diamond? Is it to be ambassador triple diamond? And if you stopped and thought, okay, well, what does that look like? What does that feel like? Just how would I carry myself if I was at that level? Would you sit a little taller? Would you breathe a little deeper? How would you present that to people? Your physiology is something that Eric talks about, that Tony Robbins talks about, is just having that physiology. So kind of keep that in mind as we kind of go through this. And let's talk about the numbers. So this report has all been set up so that you can fill it in specifically. The first one, obviously, you can type in your own personal name, type in what your rank is, whether it's director, director 300, diamond, whatever it is. You know exactly what your current rank is. You can type in your month and what the year is. So you can save these. Now, so what we were thinking, let's see, this is actually, I'm going to change this because I want this to be 30, 90, and 1 year. I just realized that there's one typo here. So we're going to make this a 30-day goal, 90-day goal, and a 1-year goal. Now, originally, we were thinking, 30, 60, 90 days. It's good to have a short-term goal, but look, we really want you to have a longer-term perspective. So where do you see yourself in 1 year from today? Visualize that. If you see yourself, Leland Duck, how fast did he get diamond done?
Oh, it was only a couple of months, I think. Very short period of time.
Yeah, I think it was 6-8 weeks, something like that. I mean, so you can set a goal to get this done quickly. And the fact is, it's all out massive action and momentum. He had an incredible story. He had incredible credibility. But, if you want to set the goal to be diamond, whatever the goal is that you want to set, for 1 year from today, set a clear intention of that and realize that it's now about getting to work and doing the work to make that happen. So, so simply type in your goals. Now, a couple of examples that we put in here for your daily, weekly goals is how many contacts a day do you want to make? So you've got to get in front of people. How many hours are you actively working on your business? Now, in terms of what is actually working in your business, is it things that are important, like are reading, listening, getting your headset, your mindset in the right place, but that's not actually work. That's not building your business. It's the time that you've got in front of your contacts. So anything you want to add to that, Dan, in terms of, setting some goals?
Yeah, I think a good number of people to connect with today. We're talking about new people that you don't know if you're out and about in the street or going shopping, wherever you're going, is 2 people. I mean, I try and to actually get the details of up to 5 people if I'm out and about that I bump into. I always like to get their details first and never give them mine, because people just never get back to you. So at least if you've got their details, at least their email address, if you can get a contact number and connect with 2 new people that you're adding to your living list, the list that you're carrying around with you physically, and the list of people that you want to connect with. So you're adding new people to people that you know on this list. And keep, I think, just going back to the beginning, Bart, you want to put on here the rank that you want to eventually be, and that could be that could change. Your goals and your dreams, everything evolves, but you need to act like that rank that you want to be, and keep your posture with everything that you're doing with your daily activity, no matter what it is, whether it's on the phone or talking to somebody face to face, because there's nothing negative about what we've got here.
That's right. That's right. Look, I remember when I first got involved in this profession. I was talking with a guy who was making $62,000 a month, and I couldn't even envision making that much amount of money. But I thought, I can picture making $5,000 a month, and then when I got to 5, guess what? It's pretty easy to see 10. And when you get to 10, then you can see 20. And so, put a dollar amount here. What is your monetary goal? What is your pin level goal? And always remember that your goal, the economic benefit, is in direct proportion to the number of people that you're helping. So if you always keep your goals in terms of being in service to your downline, to helping people, to get the message out to people, you're going to really come from the right place. So you're not going to come from a place of ego or pushing people. You're going to come from a place that's going to really want to attract people to what you've got. So so I like your idea that absolutely the number of contacts per day. For this contest, in fact, I was just on the phone with Mal Sword yesterday, asked him if he could join us, but it's 5 a.m. in Bangkok. So he's out there treating his business like a business and out there working with people. He knows how to do that well. So since he got in on a late flight, he said he wouldn't be able to make this one. But that's one thing that he said a goal was during this contest period was to talk with 5 new people a day. And he's got some accountability partners. So the best thing you can do is to create an accountability partner or a mentor that you're chatting with, even if it's for a couple, just a couple minutes or even via text message daily. And so that you've got someone that you're accountable to. It could be your partner, your spouse, but ideally could be someone that you're working with closely in your cross line, like Alan Fitzgerald is one of Mal's accountability partners that he's working with. And by the way, I see lots of enrollments coming in from Alan Fitzgerald too, another guy who has really stepped up, treating this absolutely like a business. The other thing you might want to set here as some goals is, creating some in-home events. Getting up and being the presenter at the front of the room. Whatever it is that you need to organize. So make sure that you set some goals. We've made plenty of room here to set your goals for these time frames.
And if you don't think you're quite there when it comes to doing an in-home presentation yourself, obviously go out there and practice by yourself doing that, but to get the confidence to be able to deliver a presentation to anyone you're inviting. But you can play one of the expert in the house videos and then answer a few questions at the end of that. So just invite some people over, put on a cup of tea and some bickies, and play an expert in the house that's been recorded. Yeah.
The other thing that's really important is get your story down. Your story is so important. In your story, don't keep it sweet, keep it simple. That story is what life was like before Asea, what life is like now. When the light bulb moment was for you, what really happened, what really changed, your product experience, your business experience, just helping other people, making a difference, and get that done. So get your story down. And like you said, that's a great way is to share your story and then share some information. And also make sure that to realize that this is it's a team sport. So use your upline, get people on the phone with other people. Now the next thing, I think everybody's aware of the different weeks, but let's just go into the dashboard for a second. Danny's back office here, and we can see. Let's see. Did I go to the right? Okay, so the weeks are right here. So right now we're on week 34. We got week 33, week 32, and so forth. So what we've done, if we were tracking this, we'd put week 34, week 33, week 32, and so forth, and week 31. So you can always keep track of this kind of as a monthly overview and fill this in. And I just recommend doing it exactly the way it is in your back office, so it's really easy to see. Now, there's a difference between your pin level, your paid at rank, or your pin level, your permanent rank, and your paid at rank. So what we want to do is we want to track exactly what your paid at rank is here, so that you could hit, for example, bronze or silver, gold, but you need to still be on top of your business, because if all of a sudden you sit back and you think, hey, I've arrived, I don't have to do anymore, I'm just going to let the $5,000 a month or whatever roll in, it's not going to happen that way. You need to still treat your business like a business and follow up with people. And so, so the other thing you want to look at is your paid at rank. And as we look at the lifetime rank, and we've got the let's see, got the lifetime rank as ambassador, and the paid at rank as ambassador here with Danny. So he's every single week he's hitting his pin level. So whatever that might be. So if you hit a pin level, you fall back, that's what you need to do, because we want to be moving forward, not moving backward. And it's going to be all about paying attention to your business. Sometimes in the beginning, you make a big push. You make a big push to hit a pin level. And you get the team rallied around. Maybe you've invested in a little bit of a product, but whatever, you've made some efforts to really make that pin happen. So now you need to build that pin and have it strong. So, so that's
these statistics are a big part of, as Bart said, you will hit ranks where you need to stabilize the rank, but once you've got the paid rank in there, you can physically see it in that lifetime rank. You want to be doing everything possible to stabilize it, and to stabilize it and bypass it. These statistics, these numbers are very, very important.
Absolutely. Now, the other thing that's so important with your business is to look at enrollments, personal enrollments. Now, we're going to look at your team, your whole organization, because it's all about duplication. But let's also, first of all, we want to take a look at your personal enrollments. And so in this case, we can see that Danny's absolutely leading by example. 3, 1, 3. A couple of weeks here, I think you were traveling.
Doing presentations in America, but I would expect, and including for myself, to be at least a 1 in there on a weekly basis if you're serious about building this business. And if you're contacting several people a day outside of what you have to do in life, and you're people with at least another 2 new people, just let me know when I'm back, Bart. You got me back?
You're back. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Connecting with at least two people. There shouldn't be a 0 where it says personal enrollments. I mean, if you're not registering, are we going to go into the fast forward on this, Bart, or?
Yeah, we absolutely can.
I can. Yeah. So just the fast forward incentive is a fantastic incentive when it comes to putting in personals. I think I've achieved the fast forward 2 or 3, maybe even 4 times in the last couple of months. And what that is you hit the start button on a 14-day period where you need to put in at least 4 people, or the fast forward plus 8 people. The 4 people with 800 enrollment pack or volume going through, and with the fast forward plus 8 people with 1,200 points going through. And you're getting some great incentives with either getting 100 points towards free product or 300 loyalty points towards free product with the fast forward plus. You can see I'm a little bit down here with I've got 13 days to go, so I've just hit the button. I put 3 people in yesterday. I'm actually going for the fast forward plus by the end of next week before we go to the international convention, the global convention in Texas. So my goal is here, and I will achieve it because I've set my mind to do that, is to get to 8 enrollments with at least 1,200 points. So as you can see by the top bar, you've got, if you do achieve the 4 people going in with 800 points, you get 25 free tubes of Renew 28, the sample tubes, 1 free case, which is the 100 loyalty points, at least $211 fast start bonus. And in total, you can see it's not a bad, cash and product there for $521. Now, if you're doing that every fortnight, I can say to you guys, listen, if you don't put 100 people into your business over the next 12 months, you're never going to be successful. So people will just go, hey, well, I'm not going to do that. We can't put in 100 people. If you push this button on this fast forward every single 2 weeks and achieve putting at least the 4 people in every 2 weeks, in 12 months' time, you would have put in 100 people. So these bite-sized chunks of incentives to literally build your business on, this is building the foundation. So your numbers with what we're going through are going to be heading in the right direction. And if you're bringing those people on and then helping them to be successful with getting them to director 300, director 700, and so on, that's pretty well all you need to do without confusing yourself. The numbers we're going to go into is what you need to know, because you need to set those goals, those targets, and have those numbers in mind to take you to whatever rank you want to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see with the Fast Forward Plus, that's putting in 8 people in that period of time, you get 300 loyalty points. So that's 3 cases of free product. The Fast Start bonuses are there. So it's a great way to go. And I'm really glad that you brought that up, because the cool thing about this is it just simply is an additional reward for what we want to do anyway, which is just, we're supposed to build our business. We're treating it like a business. This is just cream on top. This is just extra icing on the cake. And by the way, you can, while you're going for this fast forward, you can also go for whatever the contest is that is happening, whether it's for Ascent or in this case, it's Reach for the Beach, which is up to $5,000, about $5,400 value for the trip for the first place prize, which you're right on track to hit there as well, Dan. So,
yeah, I mean, these incentives and prizes, gifts, cash, they're all put in place for everybody to build their business in the right way. So rather building that to the compensation plan, you can build it to these gifts, these trips and incentives, and your business is building in the right way to get you to those ranks and to maximize a compensation plan as well.
okay. I notice we've got some chats. Let me just take a quick look. Just wanted to see if there was any questions. Yeah, thanks for letting us know. The Reach for the Beach is just for Australia and New Zealand. So thanks for the heads up on that, guys. All right, let's take a look at the next thing on this graph. So the cool thing is, you know, you always want to strive to not have any zeros. Look, you're going to have some. You're going to have some other weeks where you put in 2 or 3 people, exactly like what Dan has done here. But if your mindset is my goal is to have at least 1 new person in each week, then it's just a matter of working the numbers. And you know, there's a book called Go for No. The more no's you get, the more yeses you're going to get. It's just a matter of the numbers. So now let's take a look at the total number of downline left and the total number of downline right. Now, and the other thing that we're going to look at now, you can see, for example, that we've got this listed out as performance. So what we're talking about is exactly this heading right here, which is performance. So it's really easy to just take these figures and put them on your report and move them over. So we've got 5,000 people on the left, 13,375 on the right. It's a great looking team, Dan. Got good things going. Your left leg is going crazy here. And that's what's going to happen with most of you. You're going to find one leg is going to take off faster than the other. Okay. So it's a matter of just paying attention to that and creating balance in your team as well. So, so we're going to take and add those. Now, the cool thing is when you start and you've just sponsored your very first person, guess what? Your business has just doubled in size. You've had 100% growth, right? So these numbers, it doesn't matter. Everybody starts in exactly the same place. So downline left, we're just going to put in, let's say, 13,000, whatever it is, and let's say 5,000 over here. And whether it's 13 people or 5 people, it doesn't matter. When you start, just track that, because you've got an end goal and it's going to grow. Because what we're going to do here is we're going to do the things that you want to duplicate. Now, the other thing that's really important are the numbers that you want to look at, which is enrollments left and enrollments right. So this is where we're looking at how is your team duplicating. And we've got group enrollments left, 203, and group enrollments right, 47. So 203 and 47. And then The next thing is the number of Director 300 legs. So the Director 300, Dan's got 13 Director 300 legs. Now this is really, really important, guys, and the reason we've got a lot of emphasis on this report on Director 300 legs is because when we were at, when I was at the Beyond Leadership event with Eric Worre, he said, look, there is a level in your organization, because we had people, they're industry leaders, making over $2 million a year, and they're from multiple companies. And he said, but there's a level in your company that would represent, if all you did was duplicate that particular level over and over in your team, you could take your business all the way to the top. And for us, that level is Director 300. It's a pin level that if you're consistently hitting that pin level, you're going to be making, somewhere between 4 and 6, 7, 800, every a month. And so it's where people are starting to reap some benefits. Remember, there's a difference between pin level and pay level. So our goal is to help people hit the Director 300 level as a pin, but then also to maintain that going forward too. So at the bronze level, for example, you need to have 2 Director 300s, legs that you personally sponsor. So for example, it doesn't mean someone that you've necessarily sponsored that goes Director 300, but maybe they've sponsored someone or maybe it's underneath them. But in that leg of sponsorship, because we're tracked 2 different ways. We're tracked on a right and left leg, but we're also tracked on a unilevel place. So if you sponsor 20 people, for example, it'd be you and 20 wide, and each one of those legs would count as a Director 300 leg. All right, so so it's important to have these Director 300 legs. So as a triple diamond and above, the minimum requirement is to have 7 Director 300 legs. So if your long-term vision is I need to have 7 business builders, 7 legs of my business that are actually building the business. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, they don't have to be personal. So this is where you dig deep under the people you're bringing on board. So if somebody actually takes off and runs, they could be your Director 300. Never depend on anybody building your business, guys. Lean on and use and abuse your upline as much as possible. There's a lot of people on this call, to depth or personal, but to depth that I'm actually personally working with. So dig deep. When you look at the group enrollments left, group enrollments right, you've got to start somewhere. You might have, I was really excited when I had my first person going into the group enrollments, which was obviously was the first person I put in because that dropped in from personal enrollments to the group enrollments. But as your business builds, you want to see that one.
Let's see.
2 and just tell me when you got me back, Bart.
Yeah, got you
Let me
back.
know when you got me.
Yeah.
2 and 2, and I mean, a leg could take off. It could be 5 and 2, but you want to get to 5 and 5 as you're going through, 10 and 10, 15 and 15 through those group enrollments, left leg, right leg, on a weekly basis. Get to 20 and 20, and that's around about a diamond business we've seen from what we've seen in the past.
Yeah. So the next thing, what we've done is we've covered this performance graph here. The next thing we want to do is we want to move into the volumes. This is where you're tracking the volumes of your team. And the left volume, the right volume, personal group volume, and PGB3. We'll explain those here for in just a second. But let's just go left volume. Let's just call it, what was that, 203,000. I'm just going to round these off. And this one was 49,000. Personal group volume. Now this is personal group, just to clarify, because we're building 2 legs, some people will benefit from spillover. That's volume that the upline has put in, or someone from the upline has sponsored that falls into that leg. And that's a really great thing. Never count on that. That's an extra, that's icing on the cake if you get that. But your personal group volume is dependent upon anyone that you've enrolled and anyone in their entire team. So that could be to whatever depth, 100 levels depth, deep or below. But that's your personal group. Everybody all that volume that is in your team because of you, because you came on board and you brought people on. So as we look at Dan's personal group volume here, and we can just actually easily just copy these across. This is nice as we're doing this. Now, the reason that we want to that you want to track personal group volume 3, PGV3, this is for your first 3 levels. So anyone that you brought in, that they brought in, and that they brought in. And this is really important to track, particularly for the EMP bonus. Do you want to just talk about that, Danny?
Yeah, your PGV3, so your width in the business, Bart was talking about the uni level components. So these are all your personal sponsored people going into straight across with those personally sponsored legs, which are going to come down under each other in the binary, obviously, and the system recognizes every single one of those personally sponsored legs within the binary as they are a personally sponsored leg. So when you bring somebody on, that is your first level. When they bring somebody on, that is your second level. And when they bring somebody on, that is your third level. So personal group volume 3 levels. As far as the executive momentum pool, or even the diamond pool, which starts at PGV, personal group volume 4, you want as much width in your business. And this is where your personals, the people that you're bringing in are important, and getting them to Director 300 and getting them to those lower ranks as quickly as possible, and then into the middle ranks, bronze, and so on. Because those first 3 levels is where you're getting the points. So all the volume going through your business in those first 3 levels calculate towards, depending if you're bronze, silver, gold, or platinum, you're getting 50% of the points at bronze, 100% of the points at platinum. Those points, which end up shares in the executive momentum pool, which calculate back to a monthly bonus of that executive momentum pool bonus, which is 2% of the global volume. And if we touch on that, this is where it's important to work with everybody in the whole business, because what anybody's doing, even somebody that's not in your business, these bonuses are going to come from their business as well.
Yep, that's absolutely right. So really important. And as you're working, you're going to start, the EMP bonus starts kicking in at the bronze level. And so as we're tracking this, remember, you've got to have, at the bronze level, you need to have 2 Director 300s. And also as you work in that pool, you want to make sure that you put in width. You want to have as many people wide, because that's going to give you a bigger piece of that executive momentum pool.
I think a lot of people know on this call how to get to the middle ranks, for example, Bart, with 2,000 points in the lesser leg for bronze, 3,000 for silver, 5,000 for gold, 10,000 for platinum. I've looked at that as a really good indication of what your PGV 3 should be as well. So at bronze, your PGV 3 each week should be 2,000 points. At silver, 3,000 points. And at gold, 5,000, and 10,000 at platinum. So if you're nowhere near those numbers for that rank, you're not putting enough width into your business. You're not bringing enough personal people on board.
Yeah. Someone had asked the question, when you look at your personal group volume cannot be larger than your organizational volume. So anyway,
205 012 if you want to change that, 203. 205 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
And the week's not finished yet, so okay. So
and don't rip me off on week 32, but I've had 3 enrollments that week.
Week 30. Okay. Oh, is
32.
That right? I thought I had that right. Okay.
I think just as far as terminology too, I mean, the words that we use when we talk about enrolling somebody, when you talk about that you want somebody to come on board, never use the words sign up or register, guys, because people feel that they're locked into something that they can't get out. We know that that's not the case. They can cancel autoship anytime they like, but never use the words become a member, become an associate. Just use the words open your own account, open up a wholesale account. They're much better words to use. Yeah,
absolutely. I always ask people, I said, I assume you like to get the best value, the best price. Well, of course, what's the 11th commandment? Thou shalt not pay retail. let's set you up with an account. It's a good point. So now what we want to do is we want to track, we've tracked the performance, we've tracked the volumes, let's track the growth. Now, I want to share with you a really interesting statistic here. And that statistic is that Eric told us. He said, if you can help someone earn as little as $1 in their business, obviously there's no way to get paid $1, but any commission at any level, your retention is going to go up from, and of course we're talking in the profession, we're talking, somewhere around from 20 to 30% retention after 1 year. If you can help someone earn $1, that goes up to 74%. 1 year from now, they will still be active, placing an order every single month in their business and with their account. So we want to look at this because the thing that is important. Okay, so we're going to go to growth. Let's see, active left and active right, 37 and 25. So let's see, 37
and 25. Yeah. So just talking about these figures are very, very important. We know that Asea, well, if you look at the industry retention, or this activity that we're looking at, runs at about 10% in the industry, in our profession, I'm sorry. And Asea's retention is around about 30 to 40%. I'm working hard to get the right figure up to over 30% again, which is my right leg, which is my weaker leg. Anybody coming on now that doesn't make the mistakes that we have in the past few years, if you're building a business correctly, saying the right thing, making sure that people go on the product for 3 months, putting them on the correct product plan, making sure they're on auto ship, guys, your retention should be 70% plus. Now, obviously my growth's down to 1%, but there's 18,000 people with, over 200 people going in a week, and that's where it's 1% continuous. In the early days, as Bart said, you put that one person in and they're on auto ship, you've got 100% activity and 100% growth. So what you want to do is to keep these numbers up as much as you can. And these numbers come back to making sure that you keep people on the product by putting them on the correct product plan and making sure they commit to 3 months, and more than likely they'll continue. You help them on their journey with making sure they recognize they're getting results by calling them on a very regular basis, and even helping them to recognize the results they're getting. But also, as a not depending on your team, helping your team when they come in, but going back to your upline to make sure that anybody that you talk to, that your family and friends, that you're just piquing interest and getting those people to your upline to make sure that you're getting them to a third party, a world authority, an expert to edify what you're saying. All these things that we're doing with that daily activity, the things that we're not going to do, the mistakes that you're not going to make that we did make in the past, these numbers should be a lot bigger than what ours are now.
Yeah. It's interesting as we look at these numbers, believe it or not, these are actually pretty good numbers. I remember Craig in the early days, Danny, he had shared with me that a lot of companies have 6% retention. And so the fact is that when people understand, when they really appreciate what we have our hands on here with this technology, they'll stay on it and be on it for the rest of their lives. Melissa and I, for us, it's prevention. We don't have a specific health challenge or issue that we're addressing, but we don't want to get it. We want to stay healthy. We want to have vitality. And so when you educate people and keep them plugged in with that knowledge, they will stay on the product, so long as they can afford it. So the interesting thing is that whatever you can do to, that whole idea, let's just come back to that idea of helping someone earn $1, for example. It's just about having that constant contact with people. It might be giving them a call and sharing a story with them. It could be helping them to share the product with someone else. It could be recognizing them, when they have a birthday, when they have whatever. But it's just staying plugged in, staying in top, because our goal is to keep people plugged in until the penny drops, meaning until they get it, until they understand it, can really appreciate what they've got their hands on. There's so many examples I can think of that people that we enrolled in the early days, and they just didn't quite appreciate what they had until later, and they've come back to us and said, thank you so much for hanging in there with us, for believing in us, because we really see this now. And so it's just that constant contact that will make the difference. So Dan, I'd just like to just elaborate also on the 1% growth. Remember what Denny Robinson said in the beginning. When you're building your business, if you can, for as long as you can, obviously when you have a business that's the size of yours and the size of ours, to maintain 10% growth would be pretty challenging. In fact, perhaps a little bit unrealistic when you've got an organization that size. However, if you can maintain particularly 10% growth in your business every single week, as long as you can, set that as a target while you're in that growth stage, particularly in the beginning. That would be a really good performance indicator. Obviously, when you first start, you sign up one person, it's easy to have 100% or 50% growth, whatever it is you're doing that. But 10% is what you should strive for from the beginning. And as long as you're really looking at staying plugged in with people, your active percentage, meaning that they placed an order once a month, is going to stay much, much higher. Sorry, Danny.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you've got a team of 100 people and you've got 1% growth, it's only one person going in. It's not going to cut the mustard, guys. That 10% is a really good market indicator of where you need to be as a minimum in the early days, or as Bart said, for as long as you can sustain or maintain that.
Hey, just while we're talking about growth here, I'd like to just share some honest numbers. And what we're talking about is numbers for our profession, not necessarily numbers that are Asea specific, but these are numbers that Eric Worre had shared with us. And because this whole webinar is about treating your business like a business, let's just take an honest look at some of these numbers. The 70% of the people in your team are going to be consumers. They're going to sponsor zero. Okay. Their goal is to get on the product, to use the product, and quite frankly, for a lot of people, if they've got a health issue or a health concern, we're not even going to necessarily approach them from the business standpoint. We just need to help them first. And when they see this, they'll want to share it with other people when they benefit from it too. But, we just meet people where they're at. If their goal isn't to build a business, we don't need to, jam that down their throat. We just need to help people where they're at, share with them the bigger picture to let them know that it's there. But that's it. 20% will be social enrollers, which means that they'll sponsor one or two people, okay, in their entire lifetime. They'll share it with a friend or family or whatever. 5% are going to be essentially retailers. What that means is that they'll basically share this with 3 to 5 people in their lifetime. 2% are going to be what we call super recruiters, and that's something that we want to track. We're going to move into next, and this is a key performance indicator. What a super recruiter is that someone or a super enroller, super recruiter, whatever language we want to use on that, that's someone who has enrolled at least 10 people. These are your business builders. And the average is going to be, for those people, is going to be about 27 people that they've brought on board. So, it's probably all heard of the 80-20 rule. 20% in any sales organization, 20% of the people are going to give you 80% of the results. You could even take that 20% category and break it down to the 80-20 again, because you're going to find it doesn't take a lot, just consistent effort to really take this thing all the way, to really see the results and having the lifetime rewards. It's just about making a decision to be a super recruiter. But the important thing is not about being that yourself. It's about duplicating that and finding those people in your team. So when you find someone that really wants to go for it, help them to achieve that rank. And it's something that we want to track. We want to recognize those people, maybe create a pin or some sort of recognition for the super recruiters, the people that have sponsored in their lifetime at least 10 people or more. Now, let's see, 3% of those 3% of the people in your organization will have sponsored somewhere between 6 and 9 people. So to be exceptional, it's just really about making a decision and kind of realizing that to take this all the way and to really treat it like a business, just having a consistent effort. Now, the important thing, and we want to go through these KPIs or key performance indicators here. The important thing with the super recruiters is to make sure that in your entire organization, that number is at least 2% or more. So in the beginning, you'll kind of know that number. As your organization grows, you can get that number from head office. and they'll give you an idea. But as long as we're tracking that statistic, and this was a real eye opener for me, was to realize, how many people, and as we went through the room at this Beyond Leadership event, and we were taught some of the people there that their businesses were declining for various reasons, and we looked at this number, and if they had less than 2%, their business was in decline. If they had more than 2% of the people in their entire organization that had sponsored over 10 people, their business was inclining. And so the place where you really see massive momentum, some companies that really hit just this momentum phase in their business, if you can hit 4, 5, 6, 7, 8%, then your business is rocking, absolutely rocking. So that's why duplication is so important. That's why we want to track this number, because you always want to look and say, who is it that really wants to, to be in this category? Anything you want to add?
Well, we just need to know who's serious about building a diamond business, Bart. So anybody who is serious about building a diamond business, put me in the chat box. If you look at the numbers to get there, personal enrollments, oh, there's one. Blue Monroe from California. Good on you guys. You can make some serious money in this business in through the middle ranks. I mean, if you get up to platinum and, with the executive momentum pool, you can do that registering under 50 people. That could be 10, that could be 20 personals, but you can get to some phenomenal money. But obviously, if you want to get to diamond, from what we know, your enrollments need to be between 50 and 100 people. And you're working to develop those people. But that's just to give you an idea, as far as a diamond rank, you need to get up around that mark.
Yeah.
There's only 17 out of 100 people, by the way, that want to hit diamond. So maybe we're talking to the wrong crowd.
Yeah, definitely put it in there. Look, let's take a look at these key performance indicators. Let's just kind of roll through this a little bit. We got a few more people coming in. Okay, Associate Customer Search Advanced. Now, we talked about the importance of Director 300 legs, but the thing we want to do is we want to promote Director 300s in your team. We want to make a big deal out of it. So when you've got someone that has hit that rank, you want to celebrate that, just same as if they've gone diamond. I mean, really make a big deal out of people hitting Director 300, because it is a big deal. They've made a decision to step up in their business. They've hit Director, where they've sponsored 2 people. Now they're starting to promote this more. They've hit Director 300, and you really want to give them the recognition for that, because and so let's take a look at how we actually track that. So this is important because Danny, I know that you spend a lot of time looking at your back office, in terms of, not a lot of time, but you look at your back office, you understand it well. We want to go to customer associate search. Now, if some of you are wondering, for example, when we do our monthly team webinars, how we pull those numbers, how we know who's gone Director 300, because we'll have a list of whatever it is, the 60 or 80 or whatever people in the team that have hit Director 300. If we go to, so what I've done, let me just clarify here. I've gone to reports, I've gone to associate customer search, and it pulls up this report. Now, what you want to do is go to advanced search, and go right down here to the bottom. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to select the lifetime rank. Well, let's see. First of all, we're going to select the week. I'm going to go back to week 33 because that was last week. And we're going to select week 33, and then we're going to hit the lifetime rank between Director 300 and Director 300. And now I'm going to say show report. And let's see, so here's last week, Danny, the number of new Director 300s on your team. If we change that to week 32, and we should go show report. We've got another list here, so you just add those up each week. So as your team grows, you want to know exactly how many people are hitting Director 300 on each of those weeks. So I didn't count it, but let's just say there's 8 and 7 and 10 and whatever the number might be. Okay. So you know exactly how many Director 300. So month to month, week to week, you want to make sure that that number grows. Your business is growing and advancing. The next thing that we want to talk about, and Danny, you already talked about this a little bit, was convention. Do you want to add anything on the Director 300s, or I think we covered that pretty well?
I think the great thing about these reports or seeing people rank advance is just reaching out to them and as a leader to help them rank advance even further, to hold their hand and make sure you give them the support to take them to where you want to go with this business. So, you know, you got to dig down and look for those red apples in your business. Someone who hits Director 300, it is a big deal, as Bart said. I mean, if they're a stable Director 300, they're paying for their product, so they're getting their product for free as a stable Director 300, and just reach down to them to help them get to Director 700 and the middle ranks.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, look, there were several things that Eric Worre had talked about in terms of key performance indicators. There's some here that, and these are the 3 main ones. The next one I just want to address a little bit is convention registrations. Now, you know, we've got a convention coming up right, you know, this next month. And you know, in Australia and New Zealand, we've really got 2 conventions that we want to track. One would be our event here at in Brisbane in February. You know, it's kind of a national, but the international event as well. Now, I'm going to share with you some numbers that Eric Worre had mentioned. He said for anybody who has to travel to an event, to a national convention, he said for every person that you have there in your entire team, you can count on making, just kind of as an average, let's say, for example, if you had 100 people there at that event, you can estimate that you'll be earning $100,000 the next year. Okay? You had 200 people on your team that were at that event, 200,000. It's kind of the way the numbers spin out. Now, when we're talking about international, particularly someone that would be flying from Australia to the US, for example, he said you can times that by at least 3, probably 3 to 5. So, because obviously it's a lot bigger commitment, it's a lot bigger investment, but the place where people really get big visions, people make big decisions at big events. And these big events, the belief system is there, the networking is there, the information, the knowledge. You come back and you're just bulletproof. So if you haven't made the decision to come to the convention yet, there's still time. I would highly, highly encourage you to be there, but not only be there, bring somebody with you, bring some people there with you, because your vision will absolutely expand through the roof. And you'll notice how important this is right from day one. So at the convention, I'm pretty sure that they're going to be selling convention tickets for next year at a discounted rate. And you want to get those. In fact, if they have a block of tickets, you want to kind of have it in your mindset that, hey, I'm going to pick up a block of tickets because I'm going to plan on having X number of people there for the next event. The same thing for the event that we've got in February. So we offer, and that would be for our Envision event that we have on the Gold Coast. That's a big event. We'll have Tyler Norton coming out for that. We offer early bird prices for a reason, because we want people to promote that. So as soon as you enroll somebody, you want to talk to them about getting to these events and get them plugged in, because we've already set, and if you're going through this with people, we've already got the 1-year goal. That 1-year goal should be to make sure that I'm at convention and I have X number of people at that next convention. So you've got that number down.
The first thing I get to write for people to write into their diary or their daily planner is this convention out of all the events and webinars and calls. Very important, guys. And you know, Bart's got them here in the KPIs. Very important to track and to help people make a decision to go. I recall in 2015, my first convention, I had 9 people from my business, my team there, which was very, very exciting. And I think this year, the 4th convention that I'm going to, we're pushing about 200, which is just absolutely amazing.
Wow, that is fantastic. All right. Now, the next thing we want to talk about, so that's all page 1. That just goes through your numbers and particularly the KPIs. So look, guys, if you've got this down as a goal and you're tracking it, this is going to really help you with your business. The next thing that you want to do is you want to be looking for your new potential business builders, and also influencers. Who's an influencer? They're people with credibility. They're people who, they're people with business savvy, business skills. They've got good credibility. So people who are hungry and people who are influencers. These are the people that you want to go after. And so you want to look at your entire team. This isn't necessarily just frontline, but who is it that you want to, well, Danny, you already mentioned this. Who is it that wants to build a diamond business? Who wants to take this all the way? Who's hungry? Who's willing to do the work, and who's willing to be teachable and team players? And by the way, this could be someone who you've already put in the business, but you know what? It could be someone who you haven't even talked with yet. But this is someone who you really want. Out of everybody that you know, if you could pick who's ambitious, self-motivated, who really has talent and ability, who would I want to work with? And you go and have a conversation with those people and say, look, I've come across an incredible technology. Look, of all the people that I know, I absolutely respect you for these reasons. I'd like you to take a serious look at this with me. I think we could have a lot of fun working together, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. So you could actually have that conversation with someone right from day one. You know, Danny, I remember that was part of the conversation I had with you. Remember how excited I was when we called you up?
Yeah, you're like a kid in a lolly shop. Actually, you just reminded me that this is another very, very important part. Influencers could be health professionals and practitioners too, but I had somebody in the team about 5, 6 deep, levels deep, reach out to me and said, you need to contact this guy. He wants to achieve what you've achieved. He wants to be like you. Now, he's just registered this guy, and I'm meeting him at 10 o'clock this morning for about 3 hours to take him through everything we're going through now to get him going in the right way.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So as you do this, you're consciously deciding, and you know, Danny, I know that you even have your whiteboards where you've got your red apples and your, you know, identified. Yeah, right there. So, you know, you can see he's got his potential, his not even potential. Those are the business builders, the people that he's focusing his time with. So here we're looking to identify, you know, whoever it is, Joe, Sue, might make some comments, you know, what your goal is, what your plan is with those people. Now, the next thing that we want to look at is our mindset, because look, the toughest piece of real estate is the 6 inches right here between our 2 ears. So the first thing, acknowledge what you've done. Give yourself some attaboys, some credit, areas that you've made progress in towards your goals. And, you know, and write those down. Then you need to also take a real honest look at action items that I did not follow through on. I just took some notes from, copied a couple things down from Eric Worre. He said, I would be more successful if, and he had us write down a whole list. He said, just brain dump. I would be more successful if I did quit procrastinating, if I had more support from this person. I'd be more successful if my health was better, if I lived here, if I had more money, whatever the list is, whatever your list of excuses are. and then after you've made that big list, just take a good look at it and identify your top 3, 4, 5 things on there, and then just get real with yourself and just say, you know, all right, these are the things that I need to tackle. This whole webinar was listed as get beyond your comfort zone, get out of your comfort zone. You know, we all have to stretch ourselves. That's where we grow. So identify what it is that you need to work on, you know, and, you know, what's preventing me. So, you know, what didn't happen? What is it? Just get clear. And then the other thing that's really important too, this isn't about beating yourself up. This is about getting, this is about enjoying the journey. So what's great in my life right now? What are the 3 things that I'm incredibly grateful for? Because you can't be, let's say, for example, grateful and angry at the same time. You can really hold one energy at a time. So you want to really get in a place of gratitude and being grateful, being appreciative, and celebrate those things and list them out. You know, what are you doing for fun? What are you grateful for in your life? Important things. Anything you want to kind of add to that?
something for the guys to look at. This is what I say to particularly the leaders in the business that are driving it, to get to the end of a production week and ask themselves a question, or ask themselves a question with what they would have paid themselves for the amount of production they would have put in that production week. And if it's $50, they're not talking enough. They're not helping enough people. And guys, we get paid for talking to people. We get paid for helping people. We get paid for helping people to help people. And while you're not doing that, there's people out there that we're losing, and take that any way you want, whether we're losing them to another profession in this particular industry that we're in, whether you're losing them to somebody else within Asea, or whether it's a worst case scenario. And that's the way I look at it, the latter, the worst case scenario where we're physically losing somebody because we're not talking enough.
I love what you just said, and that was how much we pay yourself. Because when you actually break down the numbers of what we get paid, here's the reality. In the beginning, you're going to do a lot of stuff you don't get paid for. Or you get paid very little for. Then you get to a place where you paid pretty well for what you do. And then as you build your business, you're going to get paid for stuff that you didn't do. And that's a really great place to be. And that's the beauty of residual income. And that's the beauty of this profession in network marketing. It's absolutely something to be proud of. And I absolutely love being associated with this. So it's just exciting to see, meetings and events that are happening all over the world. As we're moving house, just moved from Noosa River up to this little country place is absolutely spectacular. And Melissa and I just had this incredible feeling of gratitude because, it's taken us kind of out of the loop for the last pretty much 2 weeks just to get everything moved and resituated. And yet the income just keeps rolling in. And it's beautiful. So just realize that when you have the long-term perspective, that it's all about, paying the price. Because if you looked at, for example, if you wanted to be, where else could you earn the kind of money that you can with this profession? Danny, to earn what you're doing right now, what would you, a doctor, a lawyer? You're out earning doctors and lawyers, quite frankly. And
yeah, I'm always looking at the international numbers. I'm looking at everything from a global point of view with everything I'm doing. And, I thought I'd do a search on, where I'm sitting with what I'm earning. And it's in the 0.01% of earners in the whole of American Australia, which just blows my mind. And
during this, I look at Facebook and you're living life and having fun while you're doing it too. You mix it, you put in the hours, you put in the time, but you actually, you spend some time in Hawaii and different places, enjoying life, renting a Ferrari, going out to in Nevada, just having some fun. And we love that too. The income is absolutely there. So when you really put in the time, the idea is to create all that massive momentum. And if you work your business in spurts. So Eric Worre actually broke this down. He said, look, if you're working a regular job or you had your own business, how many hours would you be putting into it? And let's say, for example, to earn the kind of income, you're talking, doctors or attorneys. They're working around the incredible hours and with incredible commitment, with incredible outlay and the hours of school and everything else. So if you just stopped and thought, hey, if I treated this like, in fact, I remember when I first got involved with this profession, that's exactly what I did. I said, where else could I earn the kind of money that the people are earning in this profession? And I thought, I'm just going to treat this like I'm going to network marketing university. I'm going to learn everything I can. I'm going to treat it like I'm studying for my PhD. And you talk with people. And when you do that, the numbers will pay out. The numbers work and they pay out. So it is important to treat it like a business. Remember to turn off, what is it that you're spending your time on? The TV, it's actually, let's rename it as the EIR, the electronic income reducer. It just saps your time, your money, your energy. Put your time and money and thoughts into things that are productive. And on that note, what we want to do is you want to rate yourself. So personal prospecting, give yourself a rating of 1 to 10. So, and if you're doing this with an accountability partner, a mentor, Danny, you've been doing some pretty good, putting some people in there on a big scale. Where would you rate yourself? 10, 9?
Probably an 8 at the moment. Yeah, I'm still fine-tuning what I'm doing and like to get it to a 10. Like to put in a lot more people. I've got a lot of contacts throughout social media and in my phone, which I haven't reached out to. And I'm getting in trouble with some people that I'm reaching out to saying, why didn't you tell me about this earlier? And some people aren't responding, but it's a numbers game, as you know. So I think I can get that to a 10. Linda Sloan just said through a message in the chat box that her problem is she gets busy and she's not following up. So this is great for accountability with that. Very important to get back to people within 24, 48 hours. After that, your percentage of bringing them back on board or bringing them into your organization is going to decline dramatically. So it's great that that you've got this in here as well.
Yeah, follow up is so important. The fortune is in the follow up. And so, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. This is giving you a real clear idea of what you need to do. Consistency at working in depth. And this is kind of an interesting, particularly if you've got a background in sales and marketing. Quite often we just think, oh, it's about just the next person putting them in, assign that person up next. But hey, that's when things start. That's when you need to kind of work with them. That's when you've developed a partnership, a team with that person, hopefully, where you can start working in depth. So really mentally envision that snowball rolling down the hill, picking up momentum and picking up growth. You want to visualize, sponsoring, enrolling someone on the 10th level in that team. So think in terms of depth. Positive thinking. Is your head in the right place? What do you need to do to get your head in the right place? The thing that makes all the difference in the world to me, look, Melissa is so incredibly detail-oriented. If you look at her planner, she's got lists of everything. She's got it all ticked off. And I kind of, I'm a little bit like Ed Wings. I tend to have more piling systems instead of filing systems. And I'm not as organized, but I can tell you that when I actually clearly put my diet and my plan in place, my head is clear and I can think better and I'm far more productive. Danny, you use a planner. I know that you're really good at organizing your time that way.
Yeah, this is my Bible, and that fits in with my whiteboard. So I've got everything in here that I have to do in life, spending time with family and whatever I'm doing. I'll get one for next year soon. I'll be putting there all the events for next year. I'll be putting my goals and targets in there. And then all the rest of the space in this diary or planner will be for 3-way calls. I still do them all day, every day, which is very, very important when it comes to building a business like this.
Yeah. And then reaching out to your partner. So, when you turn it into a little bit of a game, have an accountability partner. You could even have a small group of people, or your mentor and rate that. Now, Mal Sword is absolutely a genius at this one. He would say, the things that you're reading. I know that he's a big fan of Bob Proctor, for example. I love Bob. I know Bob. Bob actually spoke at events that I've done in the past, stayed at my home in Utah with me. But what are you reading? What are you listening to? Eric Worre's GoPro, for example, is one. If you haven't read that, you should definitely read that one. We've got Mach 2 with your hair on fire. With Richard Bliss Brooke. Whatever it is, read the things that are going to make you stronger. And what are you listening to? So there's some really great podcasts. There's the Charge Up calls. There's books on audio. Definitely, if you put the right thing in, you're going to get the right things out. So those are really, really important things. And so,
another suggestion, Bart, Blue Monroe said you were born rich by Bob Proctor as well. Yep,
you were born rich. There are just so many good things that you can put on that list. So if anyone has any suggestions that are things that have really made a difference to you, what you're listening to or writing, go ahead and type them in the chat box for us. But yeah, look, this is all really, really important things. Really glad we got a chance to kind of walk through this. What we're going to do is this form, I think that I can share this on, let me just go in here, the chat box. If I go into the chat box, I believe that I can share this form here. Now, obviously what we're going to do is we'll put this in our newsletter and I want to address that too. Will this go in here? No, it's not going to go in here. Okay. I can't share this on this particular webinar, but I can tell you, if you go to our newsletter and pull up the last one, so if you guys are not getting these newsletters, we're having these out. For example, Dan last week just did the expert in the house. We've got all the different events, but here it is, our TBG subscribe now. So our TBG stands for Team Builders Global.subscribemenow.com. Actually, Dan, do you mind just putting that in the chat box?
Yeah, well.
rtbg.subscribemenow.com, and we will make sure that this form goes in our next newsletter. So you can download that form, you can track it, keep a copy on your computer so that you can update it. Make sure that you share it with your team. And love to get your thoughts. Have you found this helpful, guys? Let's see. Jennifer, let's see, I find I'm wasting time with my prospects, inviting them to webinars or people, let's see.
Just want to cover the important things that we duplicate fast, which is two of the things that I will be talking about at a global convention in 2 weeks' time. And that is, there's a lot of people still trying to handle conversations themselves. And guys, you won't be able to handle a conversation with your family and friends. Don't attempt to. We've got peak interest scripts that don't mention the word Asea, redox, don't talk about the products, don't talk about network marketing, don't talk about the technology, but just peak interest enough to get them to Upline to have a talk to the people that you know, your family and friends, because they only know you as you and who you were growing up. For you to know about the biggest breakthrough in health, anti-aging and sports performance, they're not going to trust you or believe you more than likely when it comes to it. We see it every time. Even with my experience, with my knowledge, there's no way I'd talk to existing family members or friends. I would get Bart on a call with them and just make sure that I bring Bart on as that expert or world authority to edify what I want to say, but I can't because it's just not going to happen for me. So don't handle a conversation yourself. You'll only bring 1 out of 10 people on board doing it that way. You get them to a third party, you're going to bring on 8 or 9 out of 10 people. And the other thing is when they're on board, make sure they commit to a 3-month product plan. Don't even entertain them if they want to take the product for any less than 3 months. Put them on a product plan for 3 months. Make sure you put them on auto ship at the same time. There is a way to do that, and just make sure that you support them to get their physical results they want from the product.
Yeah, totally agree. I saw lots of comments on there that this was very helpful, very good, exciting. So someone talked about spending a lot of time inviting people to webinars, which is pretty much what you just addressed, Danny. It's important to get people on the phone with a third-party person. In fact, ideally, if you can just pique interest, get them onto a third party, and then get them onto a webinar event, even better. Sometimes you can set up those as rock solid appointments, and you know what? Sometimes you can just make them spontaneous. You can just say, "Hey, let me see if I can get my my business partner on the phone. Let me see if I can get my associate on the phone. I'd really like to hear from somebody else." That third party validation will make all the difference in the world, especially, like you said, with friends and family. Someone had made a comment that they find the back office to be, hopefully this offered a little bit more clarity. Is there anything else that you want to cover in terms of the back office or the dashboard or anything like that, Danny, or have we pretty much covered it before?
I think that's enough. And the thing is, just as a leader, just make sure you're keeping an eye, once you understand the importance of these numbers, keep an eye on your leaders' back office as well. But also teach them to keep an eye on theirs. This report is invaluable. So if you're actually physically filling in this report in conjunction with your back office numbers, you're going to learn how to build your business very, very quickly with the numbers that you need to build to achieve those ranks. So, we want you guys to make as much money as possible. If you're doing things on a daily basis that aren't creating an income, you're not getting commissions. Same thing, guys. We're losing people out there. So just make sure you talk to your upline if things aren't happening, if the actions that you're taking aren't successful, if you're not making money. I said, there's people that we're losing out there. There's something that you might be doing that could be done better.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, just a quick shout out. I was just going through, having a look at who's on the webinar here with us, and recognizing some of the diamonds. Winnie Wong, I see that you're on here. A real leader, really treating your business like a business and doing what it takes. She's really done a great job leading in the Asian market, particularly Hong Kong and Asian culture. Sep and Yeska, some diamonds on our team as well that definitely step up and treat their business like a business. And just
definitely go Wood.
Yeah, oh yeah.
On here, yeah.
So fantastic! It's really good to have you guys on, and all these people that have done it. What's that?
Mauricio Munoz, there's another diamond.
Oh yeah, Mauricio, another brand new diamond too. He just went recognized recently. Glad you picked that up. I was hoping we'd be able to hear from Richard or David He, especially because he just went diamond. But look, guys, it's just about the consistency. It's treating it like a business. It's have fun. But part of it is tracking your results, just like any other business. And if you do this and have fun with this report, I know it takes a little bit of time. And if you're like me, I don't like paperwork, but it really will make all the difference in the world. And let's just go for it. Any final words of advice, Danny, before we wrap this up?
No, I mean, I just love to see the people that are on these calls. I know everybody's going to get a recording. You can get this to your team, but obviously, you guys are serious. It's great to see your names on here. We really appreciate you running with us to do this. We've got a massive job to do. Just keep talking to people, duplicate in the right way, and we hope this is going to help you dramatically.
Yeah, totally. All right, everybody. With that, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Let's make it a fantastic week. If you haven't got your tickets yet for the convention in the States, make sure you do that. If you can still come, if you can't make it that one, absolutely make sure that you start promoting in a big way the event on the Gold Coast. Make sure you subscribe to our newsletter. If you're not, make sure that, and you know what, it's more than subscribing to it. Make sure that you actually have a read through it. Click on it. Go ahead.
There's also, just to mention the post-convention tour here in Australia. So 15th, we've got Brisbane, 16th, Melbourne, 22nd, we've got Sydney. In between, I'm doing Mudgee, Would You Believe, on the 19th, which is Country New South Wales, and also Newcastle on the 20th. So make sure you know where these events are. Make sure that you're getting your tickets, you're attending, you're bringing people. And also early next year, I mean, the year's going to be over soon, the regionals in the States. So make sure that it's, or anybody here in Australia, that just let me know when you got me, Bart. You got me now?
You're back, Danny. Hello? Yep. Can hear you.
Yeah, just there's a lot of people from the United States on this call. A lot of people who do have business in the United States on the call. So there's going to be the post-convention tours, not just in Australia, but in America and in Europe. But also moving into early next year, we've got all the regionals, which are massive events in the United States. And our equivalent is the Envision conference, which we have on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, totally. Look, I'm just going to do one thing here. I just want to do one more plug, and that's for the newsletters, because you talked about the events that are happening, the post-convention tour. I'm so glad you brought that up. In the newsletters that we put together, we've got an assistant that's helping Melissa with these now. We've got, for example, there's recognition for Reach for the Beach. We've got all sorts of top recognition for the top enrollers for the. So this is another great place where your team is going to be recognized as they are moving up the ranks. They've got, and let's see, once a month we have the team event where we've got. Sorry, I'm just kind of scrolling up here. This is a little while back. We had Foster and Terry Melmed that were our guest speakers. And here's where we've got all the information for the Dallas team dinner that Ed and Rebecca are putting on, but also the post-convention tour. So the Brisbane event, the Melbourne event, the Sydney event, the Eventbrite registration link, the Gold Coast event that we've been talking about, how to get your tickets, aseaevents.com. All that stuff is there. So guys, make sure, once again, that you get your team plugged into these newsletters, rtbg.subscribemenow.com. Make sure that when you enroll someone that you just get them plugged into that, because they'll get the emails. Make sure that you create a file. I just have a file on my computer where I save all these, and I can always go back and they're always there. So it's always important to get the information out. As Ed Wein says, you want to stay at the spout where the information is coming out. And that's how we do it. But it only works if you read them. I think that's it. Thanks again, everybody. And let's make it a fantastic day, fantastic weekend, and an awesome year.
Thanks, Bart. Thanks for everybody coming on. We'll catch you soon.